Hi, today we're going to be looking at using the MIDI effects and MIDI Effect Racks in Ableton Live to create effectively a chord bank. We're going to divide up the octaves on the keyboard into banks of chords, major, minor, minor seventh, major seventh, that allow you then to play across these chords and create musical progressions. Let's have a quick look at how it works, and then I'll show you how to build this rack if you're interested. So let's have a quick look at the principle. We have 8 octaves here, C1 to C8, divided up. C1 is major chords, C2 minor chords, C3 minor first inversion, C4 minor first inversion, major second inversion, etc. The last 2 octaves, C7, C8, I've used a major seventh and a minor seventh to add some variation. As I say, when we look into this, you could set the voicings up however you want, but in principle, we've just divided the keyboard into a series of octaves, each with a different chord voicing associated with it. You can see this is 96 keys. It doesn't fit an 88 key keyboard if you have a fixed one. You need to transpose with this, or you could perhaps adjust the major seventh, minor seventh, or any of the other variations. I'll show you in the build. I've got an inspiring chord progression playing in the background. I hope it doesn't bore you too much, but I just want to demonstrate what's going on in the rack. You can see here, let's just close this for a second, that we have some notes playing in the C1 range and in the C2 range on the keyboard. These correspond to C1 here and C2 here, these two controls. Go back to the whirly. First of all, we can do some transposition. If we take the major chord on C1, we can transpose that. Let's move it down 2 octaves, and you see we start to play 2 octaves down. We have the possibility here to shift the probability of the notes being played. So let's go down, let's move the major down again, move that down 2 octaves. If I have 3 notes that make up the chord, we have, so the root note always plays, but I have the probability here of turning off the second note. Here now we're only playing 2. I can turn off the third note and only play 1, just the root. So I can set the probability of them playing 50%. Occasionally they'll play the second note. I can introduce the third note in the chord. So I have some variation here in how the chords play. And so we're just using these 2 ranges on the keyboard. I can also introduce a strum. Move this maybe up again. So I can strum the notes. Bring up the notes. So we have control over the way the notes play back. And as I say, we have control over what type of chord we're playing. Now, if I was to move these notes up, just grab them, and let's take them all the way up to C7. What are we playing here? We're playing D, so D7. Excuse the musical interlude. Here we go. Have we got D7 there? D7. Bring back. Now we're jumping between these. Now we're playing a minor seventh and major seventh chord. Here we go. And this one we have, of course, 3 notes in addition to the root that make up the chord, so we have 4 notes in the chord. So I can turn off the 4th note. Introduce them again. So these are the functions we have. You can move up and down the octaves, play, as I explained, you can play major and minor chords with different inversions, and I've added these major 7th chord, minor 7th chords to my rack as well, did a little bit of variety. If we look at what's going on in the rack here, we'll get to this more in the build. Let's just turn this off for a second. We have here effectively then the identical setup for each of the octaves C1 to C8. So this one corresponds, major corresponds to C1. We have control of the pitch here. We have a way of adjusting scales, something I didn't show, but we can adjust the scale here. If I adjust the scale here, we can go through. So the chords will play in different scales, and they're always locked to scale. We can change the root note of the scale, which give us other variations. And we have the same for, if I go to C2 now, which corresponds to this one here, minor. Same setup. Here we have +3 semitones, +7 to make the chord. Previously we had +4, +7 for the major. So let's go to the minor again. We can again select a root note for the minor scale, and also the scale itself, what type of scale we want. And this just repeats itself with, we'll show this in the build, but effectively we have different offsets for the inversions here. But I'll show this more in the build. Okay, let's have a look at how it's built. Now I'll be using the original MIDI Effect Rack for the video, but I'll just show you MIDI Effect Racks can be found here. You just drop it in front of your whirly here. You have your buttons here to open your macros, plus, minus, the number of macros you need. Once you've finished building this, you can save it here. Click on this, you can save your rack, and then drop it in with other instruments. It's something that can be reused again. You'll find it here in your user library under MIDI effects presets. And yeah, so as I say, I'll be using the original rack just to save me time with the labeling and everything, but I just want to explain where you find the MIDI rack and what you need to use. Okay, let's get this one filled out first. And at the end, I'm going to put up a chart with all of the settings. So I'll just show you how to get going, and then you can carry on yourselves with the settings, because otherwise it will get a little bit repetitive for this video. But here we go, let's have a look. MIDI effects, you're going to need pitch, drop that in the rack. The scale function, scale MIDI effect, and finally the chord MIDI effect. Drop that in here. So what we'll do is we'll set up the first one here. We'll call this the major. Major chord. And then we have to go through, make some settings here. The pitch settings effectively define where the major chords, this one here, C1, where they will be played on the keyboard. And the chord defines which chord will be played. So let's set up first the major chord. So we have a shift of +4 and a shift of 7 for a major chord. The root note is whatever we play. We'll switch this to chance because we'll be doing some mapping here. Then we want to, as I say, set the range here. So for the C1 major here, we need to use this setting. We need to set the pitch to 24. And we need to set this to C1. This one I have to drag. So that, there we go, C1, C1. And the number of semitones for this range is going to be 11. So it'll play from the C in C1 till the B in C1. Right, okay, so that's set up. That's set up. Now we can do a little bit of mapping. We're not going to map everything in one go, but we can do some of it to save some time. So we will map here the probability here of a shift. We map that one. We'll map all those two, and a third one here. Even though we're not using it, we'll map that. It saves us a little bit of time later on. It's used with the major and minor seventh chords, but we can still map it here. We'll map the strum as well, and then I think that's it, all we can do for now. Right, now we have to go into the chain, and we will rename this major and duplicate that. Right click, duplicate. We'll name this one minor, and also here rename minor. This one we need to change the settings, +3 on the chord here, and the C2 here is our minor, so we need to adjust this to C2. Right, so that one's set up. Okay, now what we have to do is we need to select both of these. Right click, duplicate 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So we now have major, minor, major, minor, major, minor, major, minor, and you can rename these major first inversion, and minor first inversion, major second inversion. I'll just do it quickly. Second, minor, rename, second, and then I had major 7 and minor 7. Okay, so they're set up, and it's simply a case now of going through, putting in the settings for the chord voicing, pitch offset, and the range, and then doing a little bit of mapping. So we'll do the first one, and then after that, I think you have the idea. You can just use the chart I'm going to put up. So for the major first, this one here, C3. So we just need to change this to C3. Range stays the same. This we need to change to -12. Now these settings of, and this to 1619, 1619. Okay, so our inversion there. Now this is in a relationship with, there we go, it's in a relationship with this pitch setting here. So these have all been worked out, and so they do work. Okay, so you would do that for all of these. You go through your minor, you would change your pitch setting from the chart, set up the range, etc., all the way through. And once you've done that, then the final thing you have to do is you can go through the major ones and do a little bit of mapping here. You can map the root to root major, the scale to root major. You then go to the minor. This one you map to the root minor. Here again, scale minor, major to the root major, etc. So you do that for all of the rest of them, the major and the minor, until these are all mapped. You will then also, when you're finished, have to go through and map the transpose. So the major, this is this one here, C1. I transposed using that, so I map that here to C1. Go to the minor, C2, transpose. So these things you have to do. The first inversion goes here, etc. So you do that for the rest of them, and then it's all set up. One thing I've actually missed here is the strum. We could have done that on the first. I should have done that in the first instance before I duplicated them. I'd now have to do it for all of them because I've messed up, but it doesn't matter. You would map the strum. Actually, when you first create this first major, you can map the strum. Saves you a little bit of time. Okay, so as I say, that's how you set it up. It's very simple. It's just repetition, really. You can choose whatever chords you want to put in them for whatever octave. It's up to you. It's just the principle here that I'm trying to explain. Yeah, I think that's it for today. I'll put up the chart which shows you these settings here and these settings. Have a go at setting it up. It's again very useful. It's one of these ideas that allows you to get access to music quickly, especially if you're not very good with keys and playing chords. You can set up your keyboard how you want, and it's a powerful tool. Okay, thanks for watching and take care.